Okay, let's dive into Fredrik Backman's amazing #1 bestseller, Anxious People. Now, on the surface, this is a super quirky story about a crime that goes completely wrong. But pretty quickly you realize it's this incredibly profound look at what it means to be human, flawed and anxious. We're going to see how this totally absurd story basically holds a mirror up to all of our lives. Which brings us to this big question, right? How on earth can a hostage drama save your life? I know, it sounds like a total contradiction, but the answer is really the key to why this book has connected so deeply with millions and millions of readers all over the world. So, picture this. The setup is just pure, hilarious tragedy. A really desperate person tries to rob a bank, but, and you can't make this up, it's a cashless bank. So, in a total panic, the robber flees and runs into the first open door they see, which happens to be an apartment viewing, and that one mistake kicks off what is probably the most awkward and, it turns out, the most meaningful hostage situation ever.
So, right off the bat, the story feels like a mystery. It's a classic locked room puzzle, But it's got this deeply human and frankly hilarious twist. So let's break down how this seemingly impossible crime actually happens.
Here's the play-by-play. You've got a panicked robber, a totally botched heist, and this impromptu hostage situation at an open house. The police, who are this hilarious father-son duo, they surround the building. Hours go by. Finally, the hostages are let go. But when the police storm the apartment, the robber is gone. Just vanished. So the real mystery isn't just who the robber is, it's how in the world did they disappear? Okay, so let's talk about the people inside that room. Because the mystery of the vanishing robber, that's only half the story. The other, maybe even more important half, is about the hostages themselves. And in the author's own words, they are quite the bunch.
And this, right here, just shows the brilliant contrast at the very heart of the novel. The setting is so painfully normal, a 2-bedroom apartment for sale. It's a space that's just filled with awkward small talk and people pretending to check the plumbing. It is the absolute last place on earth you'd expect to have to face your deepest, darkest secrets.
Backman tells us this on page 1. He flat out says, "This story is mostly about idiots." But here's the thing. It's not an insult. It's really a statement of incredible empathy. He's reminding us that just being a person is an idiotically difficult job. And hey, we're all just kind of fumbling our way through it, right?
And wow, what a collection of idiots he's put together. You've got a couple who endlessly renovate apartments just to avoid fixing their own marriage, a super uptight bank director who can't stand not being in control, an expectant couple about to take a huge leap of faith, and an 87-year-old woman who is just not impressed by the gun. Oh, and did I mention there's a guy in a giant rabbit costume? I mean, they are, without a doubt, the world's absolute worst hostages.
So you've got this room packed with total strangers. But here's where Backman's genius really shines. He starts to reveal that actually, they aren't strangers at all. They're all secretly connected by these invisible threads, all tied to one single, powerful symbol. And that symbol is a bridge. It's a real physical bridge in the town, one you can see right from the apartment's balcony. But as a theme in the book, oh, it's so much more. It's a metaphor for those moments in life where you are standing right on the edge of a huge decision, a place of despair for sure, but also, just maybe, a place where someone can reach out and pull you back.
As the story goes on, we find out that this one tragic event on that very bridge 10 years earlier secretly connects almost everyone. The cop, the bank director, a few of the hostages, their lives all crisscrossed right there, and they never even knew it. And this hostage drama, it's the thing that finally forces all those hidden connections out into the open.
Now this is where the story really cracks open and gets to its core. The empathy you feel for these anxious, flawed people, it feels so incredibly real because it's not just some clever plot device. It comes from a place of deep, personal truth for the author himself. So you have to ask yourself, right? How does a writer manage to capture that messy, internal chaos of being human so perfectly? Well, the answer is in Fredrik Backman's own life, which he's shared with just incredible vulnerability. Backman has been super open about his own personal battles. He's talked about completely crashing from stress, dealing with crippling anxiety, and pretty much feeling like an emotional imposter his whole life. He's even said he was never cut out for reality, and that feeling becomes the absolute lifeblood of this story. In one of his essays, he writes this just devastatingly accurate line. He describes his anxiety not just as a thought, but as a literal physical weight inside him. And that is the raw emotional honesty he pours into his characters, and it's what makes them feel so unbelievably real. So you see, for Backman, writing isn't about fame or selling books. He says it's a kind of medicine for him. It's the only way he knows how to quiet all that noise in his head. Anxious People isn't just a story he wrote, it feels like a story he had to write to survive. So, let's bring this all home. The book kicks off like a mystery about a bank robber who vanishes into thin air, but it ends up being something else entirely. The real solution isn't about solving a crime, it's about solving the problem of what it feels like to be all alone.
And we come all the way back to this idea of idiots. At the start of the book, it's funny, right? It's a quirky observation. But by the end, you realize it's this huge statement about compassion. The truth is, we are all idiots, just trying our best to get through a life that didn't come with an instruction manual.
At the end of the day, the mystery of the disappearing bank robber isn't solved by clever police work. It's solved by a conspiracy of kindness among the hostages. They make a choice. They choose to protect one of their own. They choose empathy over judgment. They literally save each other. So the book kind of leaves us with this beautiful little roadmap. Rescue isn't just one big heroic moment. It's a process. And it starts when we just admit that we don't have it all figured out. It grows when we're brave enough to share what we're going through. It gets real when we forgive ourselves and each other. And it's all held together by connection. And that's really the answer to our first question, isn't it? How does the hostage drama save your life? It saves them because it forces them to be vulnerable together. It strips away all the masks and just reveals that we're all bound by our own anxieties, just trying to make it to the next day. And I really want to leave you with this thought. Maybe the greatest comfort this whole story gives us is this simple, powerful idea that you are not alone in what you're feeling. Your secret struggles, they're probably not so secret after all. They are the very things that connect us, if we can just find the courage to share them.